you architect? Hello and welcome to the India Hangout. Vistasp Kharas, a 44-year-old architect designer, was assaulted on Carter Road in Bandra, Mumbai on Saturday night when he went up to a bunch of guys who were driving a BMW and asked them why they threw out a Coke can. And in return, he was beaten up and quite badly at that. Vistasp now joins us. Also with me, Ayaz, Memon at Cricketwala. Your questions are already coming in as to why something like this could happen. What are the larger concerns that an issue like this raises, and how do we address this in future, both legally and otherwise? Before we come to Vistasp, Ayaz, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I think, look, this is something shameful that has happened in our city. To have the temerity to do it at the signal, and guys who are otherwise, you would imagine, they're not only well heeled and better off, but should be knowing better to go out and do this. Is something, it's not far from where I live, so there's even a deeper connect. But more than that, more seriously, I think that what kind of angers me also is that what has been done post that. Has there been enough speedy action been taken against these guys or not?
Vistas, why don't you first define or rather take us through what happened on Saturday night? Where were you coming back from? Where were you
I was actually at some work at the bank and I was driving towards the signal, the Axis Bank signal. I was at Hong Kong Bank. And
so this is in Bandra on Carter Road. For those
who
will watch.
Yeah, for the road coming down from Palinaka towards Turner Road actually. Yeah. So I was slowing down because there was a red light and I noticed this car in front of me throw a can of Coke out. So I stopped, and happened to stop right next to it. So I picked up the can, walked over to them.
So you got off your car, picked
So
up the
what time of the day was this?
6:30 in the evening.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So I picked up the can, walked over to them, and I could see the guy watching me in his side view mirror. And when I got there, the window was rolled down. So I just asked him, I said, have you guys lost something? So, and he proudly said, no, I threw it out. So I said, and you think it's perfectly okay to, litter the road like this? He said, yeah, what are you going to do about it? Kind of attitude. Which is when I realized there was no sense talking to these guys any further, and I walked back towards my car.
With the can? Or?
With the can, okay. Yeah. And I sat in the car. As soon as I sat in the car, I noticed this guy had walked up to me and he started banging on my window. And I rolled my window down, and which is when he, tried to provoke me into, he was trying to pick a fight, and I kind of realized that, he was trying to be aggressive, which is why I said I have nothing more to say to you, and which is when he slapped me before leaving. So I opened the door and. Even before I could get out of the car, he started hitting me on my face. And I think one of the first punches connected with my nose and started bleeding immediately. And then there was one on the throat and the stomach.
And also your lip where you got
a cut. So barely giving me time to react. And then when I did, I realized that if I don't hit him back, he's just going to keep doing this. So when I finally put my hands up, then his friend came out of the car and he started hitting me from behind. And then he grabbed me from the collar and pulled me. I lost my balance, fell down. I was on the ground and they were kicking me after this. And which is when people finally realized something was wrong. It all happened in the span of one red light. And they kind of came to help, which is when these guys...
they fled.
Yeah, they fled. They ran away into the BMW and zoomed away.
Right. And after that you went to the police station?
I was very stunned, and in fact, a cop walked up to me. There were some policemen there who were on a beat or whatever, and they had seen the commotion. He walked over to me, and it was in fact the police guy who had taken down the number of the car. I was too dazed to do anything at the moment. And then it was the police guy who said, before you come to the police station, we advise you to go to a hospital because I was bleeding profusely from the nose. So that's what I did, stuff some...
And you were alone in the car at that time?
I was alone in the car.
Okay. Were they in an altered state of mind or were they...
I don't know. driver, who I've found out today is Chaudhary, Arman Chaudhary, he was, as he was standing outside and walking towards, the whole attitude was very aggressive, and
Yeah.
I can get away with anything. So that was a little disturbing. Just by looking at the guy, you could tell that he does this and gets away with it. And so far, I think he's gotten away with this kind of behavior.
So we're going to come to that. So you went to first the hospital and then to the
Yeah,
police
I
station.
went to Holy Family, which is the closest from the spot, and they stitched up my face, got some X-rays done for my nose. I met an ENT, and then I went down to the police station. And I must say that the cops were extremely helpful. I had no problems at the police station. Noted the FIR, called me the next morning, said please come and collect your copy, and so I was quite surprised.
So that was one of the questions that came in. How were
Yeah.
you treated at the police station?
Very well. In fact, I noticed there were 4 female policemen on night duty, which was very surprising. I mean, I remember this is my local police station, so I have been there a couple of years back.
On Hill Road.
Sorry,
On
on Hill
Hill,
Road.
yeah.
On Hill Road. For some friends, robbery issue. And the atmosphere now at the police station is completely different. So it was quite interesting to see police officers on duty at night, and because of that, the whole atmosphere at the station was very congenial.
Right. So have you done this before, Vistasp? Have you gone up to people and?
Well, normally, no. I will just pick it up, and throw it in the nearest bin. Once before, I go flying on the weekends to Kamshet. And once before, I noticed some people throwing beer bottles out of their car. And we were stopped at a train junction. And I remember I did the same thing. I picked it up, walked over to them. But, they immediately realized, and they said, oh, we didn't realize, and they took the bottles back. I just asked them, I said, you want to take these or should I take them back to Bombay? So normally people, when they are confronted with I think it's more an automatic action for some people to throw things out of the car, then, they don't think about it. So when you make them think about it, they normally accept it and, realize their mistake. Whereas in this case, to see this kind of aggression and this kind of violence was a bit shocking.
Okay. So what's happened since then? I mean, you filed the case. I know the newspapers have been reporting it. Mumbai Mirror has said today, put a photograph of this boy.
Yeah.
On
In
the
fact,
front page.
Yogesh from Mumbai Mirror, the guy who was it, the journalist, has been really on the ball. And throughout yesterday, he was in touch with me. I think he's done most of the investigative work.
Yogesh Naik.
Yogesh, something from
Sadhwani.
Sadhwani. So he's done most of the investigating work. He kept sending me photographs. Is this the guy? Is this the guy? Late last night, he told me that I know the identity of the other guy as well. And you will read about it in the paper in the morning. And this morning when I went down to the police station, the guys were there. So they were in the police station.
Oh, okay. So both the guys were brought to the police station.
Yes.
Oh,
no,
okay.
apparently from what I've heard, they walked in to give their statement, and that's when they were taken into custody.
Okay. So they are, as we speak now, they are in custody?
They are in custody.
Okay. On charges of assault? Or
assault and a number of other, I mean, there were some 4 separate charges on the FIR. Not sure what they are, but yeah, primarily assault, I think grievous injury, which...
So the newspaper report also seemed to suggest that when asked for an apology or whether they would apologize, they clearly said that why should we apologize? We never expected this to become so big.
Well, as I was coming into the studio, I had a call from Alison Kanuga, who I think is the mother of one of the boys. And she was apologizing, and I said, look, I mean, is your son, does he realize what he's done? Does he regret what he's done? And she was like, oh, I'm sure he does. So I don't know. I don't know if these guys even realize what they've done.
So, what is the position of the cops now? What is it that they are saying? I mean, they may have some charges leveled against them.
Well, they haven't been very communicative.
Yeah.
All I know is that they're going to keep them there till the court decides what is to be done with them. So they are going to keep them in custody till then, is what I've been told.
So Vistasp, what is the? I mean, we sort of touched upon this, but what is the fundamental problem here? So I mean, one is the fact that people are littering and without any care in our roads and in the city, which in any case is not something that can claim the tag of being the most beautiful. And the second is this raw violence and this sense of entitlement.
Right.
What's the bigger play here in your mind?
Well, regarding the littering, I mean, I remember Bombay, I'm born and brought up here, and it used to be a much dirtier city. I think it's a much cleaner city now. I think people are more aware. I have noticed people putting things into their pocket. When you eat something, put the wrapper in your pocket, throw it in a bin. People are doing that, and which is why it was, even more shocking to see somebody do something like this right in the middle of the road. And so I think there we are on a better path as a city. But this aggression is a very new thing. It's not a Bombay thing. I mean, sad to say this, but the first thing that came to my mind must be some guys from Delhi, which is not a nice thing to say, because nowadays Delhi is a really nice city. But I've also had a lot of friends calling in after this incident and saying that they have noticed this aggression on the increase, and especially in the suburb of Bandra for some reason. It's not a South Bombay thing. It's a very Bandra kind of thing, which is...
one of the questions that people are asking is, okay, obviously there's a sense of entitlement. Obviously there is some wealth. And is this sort of a manifestation of that? That, okay, I have the money, I am driving a bigger car than yours, maybe more expensive as well. And therefore I shall...
I don't know. I drive a BMW, okay, which doesn't mean that, I feel that I own the road. No, I don't think that's the case. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. Because when this guy was walking towards me, he had this air of, I'm going to...
I mean, it could just be a bully syndrome. These guys are...
It's possible.
Think that, and perhaps they have no other occupation.
Yeah.
Beyond, flouting their car and their muscles.
Exactly.
Possibly. But the fact is, or the problem is, that if there are more and more people doing that, then obviously when you say the original character of Mumbai as we knew it is changing and shifting. Like, I've been living in Bandra for close to two decades. It can be disturbing.
So, someone on Twitter was saying to us that, look at this comeback, and this is Udayan Bose. He says that his siblings must be hiding their heads in shame, the rubbish of society. So he's obviously very upset with what's happened to you. So he's obviously blaming the parents. I mean, he's feeling that, maybe it's the parents who've not inculcated. I mean, let's go back to the litter factor, right? I mean, because that's more values. The other could be an aggression born out of road rage. It could be born out of a situation which was something that had just happened.
Well, there's a fact that I would like to share with you. Apparently, this boy doesn't have parents. And a couple of years back, he actually found his mother committed suicide, and he found the body. It seems that he's been a very disturbed individual since then. Well, if that is the case, then he needs some kind of help. He shouldn't be, out on the streets beating up people for sure. So, but this is an isolated case. I mean, in general, I believe that there is a rise in aggression, and I don't know what's causing it.
But there were two of them, so if this is true of one, the other is also equally culpable.
Yes, of course.
So
how do we address this, Vistasp, in future? I'm saying this is not going to go away. People are still going to litter, and some of them are not going to be embarrassed or ashamed about it, but instead maybe feels almost self-righteous about it.
Well, I don't know. I think every individual makes a difference. So I, on my part, am going to continue, picking up stuff when I see it on the road, or, if, you can bring it to the attention of the person who's done it, without getting physical with the person. I don't,
Can I ask you whether the parents, I mean, obviously one boy doesn't, his mother is not alive, but relatives of have they come and met you?
No, no, not
Apart from a phone call, have they come and physically met you?
no.
They made no attempt?
No.
Okay. So the question was, how do you see this being addressed as a larger issue and over the longer term?
I really don't know unless there are very strict fines and there are people actually enforcing it. I don't see the situation improving drastically. The other thing that I strongly believe in is that you can only bring change through education. So for us to bring any kind of change in our society, it has to happen at the school level, and it'll take, you know, the next generation to bring about the change, but it can happen.
The irony here is actually you're probably talking about people who were educated.
Yes.
Or who've had the benefit of education.
That's the
irony of it.
Yes, but then educated in the correct things
through formal education,
correct.
but they're still not educated. No.
Which is why I even bothered going up to the car,
Correct.
because I assumed that it would be educated people sitting in that car.
But you also knew that there was a chance that someone would react like this. Maybe not in the most violent way.
I was shocked with the degree of violence. I mean, I can hold my own. You know, I'm not into martial arts, but I practice yoga and I can to a certain extent hold my own. But the degree of violence was shocking. You know, I didn't expect that kind of violence at all. So,
and is that because they seem to have felt that you may have abused them under your breath and so on?
It could
not
be.
that makes it right.
It could be. It could be. But the sense I got from this guy was that he wanted a fight.
Okay. But you didn't abuse them or anything like that. You just sort of the moment they.
It was more of abusing myself for getting into, you know, even bothering to talk to people like this. You know.
Okay.
So which is when he came up to me, you know, I said that no, I have not. There's nothing. I don't want to talk to you. I haven't said anything to you. You know, I have nothing further to say to you. You know, I was studiously trying to avoid an altercation.
Right. So, Vistasp, the role of social media in all of this is fascinating because obviously you're on Twitter, I mean, reasonably active, and this has gone almost viral, as viral can go. And of course, mainstream media also has really picked this up, and for mostly the right reasons, because you're an illustration of what is wrong in our society and in our city specifically. How can there be a sort of way forward? Maybe use social media more effectively to talk about this issue.
Yeah, I think people should, you know, take photographs of people littering, put it up, because now almost everybody is on Facebook. Sooner or later, it's going to come around, and people should make issues like this. They should spread them, and it should go viral, because that's the only way of you know, getting to people like this.
Yes.
No, you know what interests me, and which is what I want to. How long have you been living in Bandra? When you say that you didn't expect something like this happening, you've been living all your life. So
44 years.
So the queen of the suburbs is
no longer
the queen.
No.
But you are sensing that one sentence you mentioned is quite intriguing and interesting. That it is not South Bombay or Mumbai which reflects this.
Correct.
It is Bandra and perhaps beyond Bandra.
See, even beyond Bandra, I've noticed that there's a lot of like the minute you go into the suburbs, further suburbs like Andheri and all, you notice that there is a very different driving pattern. You know, people on the road while they are driving are more aggressive. You know, they're more likely to cut you. Like, I'm always on the alert as soon as I cross car and, you know, Juhu. Yeah. So,
to be fair, someone may counter that.
Fine, you know. So, this is just my personal observation. You know, this is what I've observed in the past. But I think the people around there are more into the whole, you know, movie kind of scene, and they're all into that. It's this Bandra which is kind of caught in between.
Falling between two stools.
I think so. You know.
This is interesting, actually.
Yeah. So
to understand.
Right. So, Vistasp, what I mean, as we close, what are you looking for? I mean, how do you want this case or this issue to be closed? What would satisfy you?
I don't know. I think if the
issue has had an impact. I mean, I think people are talking about it. It's been we talked about
it
on
goes
social media.
To its,
we are sitting here and
if it goes to its legal conclusion,
Hmm.
I would ideally these boys should be made to do some kind of social service, like picking
Yeah, there was
garbage
another
off the
tweet which
streets.
said make them sweep the streets for 100 days or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I would think that some kind of punishment like that should be given.
Community service is what
Community service and
you're looking at.
enforced.
Yeah.
It's not that okay, they're supposed to do it and then they get away with not doing anything. But I would be happy if that kind of outcome was there.
And you're not angry beyond that. It's not like you want.
No, I'm not looking. I'm not
line
looking
them up
for
and
any
beat
kind
them
of
up too.
personal apology or anything of that sort. I mean, it's happened. It's in the past. There's nothing that can change that. So, I'm dreading having my nose rebroken by the surgeon, but beyond that, it's not going to fix that. So, but yeah, if it could help set an example to other people, yes. I mean, some kind of example needs to be made out of this for sure.
And you will pursue it to its logical
I
end,
will.
as you said.
I will.
Right. Vistasp, thank you very much. Ayaz, do you have a last word before we go?
No, I think it's interesting that the aspect
from
of
Bandra.
the aspect of getting people to do community service in in events like these where you're imposing some kind of a punishment is a very Western concept. Perhaps it's also part of our legal ethos, but it's not implemented. So let's see. This could be a test case.
Right, and I think Vistas has been quite gracious in saying that this is all he wants. I mean, he wants an
Yeah,
example to be made. I think due credit to you, Vistas.
Thank
we
you.
hope you get better and look better next time we see you.
Thank
here.
you.
Hopefully for something more pleasant.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's all we have time for in the India Hangout. We'll be back. Thanks for watching.